All right, everybody, welcome to Deadball TV. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the top 10 Concacaf players who have earned / deserve a transfer move. This is not players who need one. This is players who have put in the work. They've been on the treadmill. They've been in the gym. They've been eating clean. And now they deserve that move to Real Madrid for 60 million. So you guys let us know in the comments as we go through our rankings one by one. If you agree, disagree, if there's a player we don't include, of course, drop them in the comments. Smash the like button for more Concacaf content. And make sure you hit subscribe because we might do a part 2 for this, players who need a move. Right? This isn't need. This is earned, deserved. Connor, coming to you, number 10. Who's the 10th player in CONCACAF?
Okay, to be clear, you said a $60 million transfer to Real Madrid. This guy does not need that. Not everybody in this list needs a $60 million transfer to Real Madrid. Maybe not even a free transfer to the Prem. Maybe just has earned a move away. Find some greener pastures, see if we can produce bigger output. And man, number 10, a lot of these I had to go with heart because as we were briefly discussing in the video or before the video, man, we just looking for some talent here. We just scratching the bottom of the barrel in CONCACAF here.
Yeah. I felt like the top half of this list is going to be strong. Bottom half, y'all about to find out.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see. The proof's in the pudding. But I got to go with my heart here. Somebody who I had just sold on so hard, and I just feel like I want to see them elsewhere. Even though they're not in a bad situation, I feel like they've earned their stripes. They should be accumulating at least some semblance of interest. I'm gonna go with my boy Joe Scally.
Not a bad pick. I considered him strongly.
Yeah, listen, for number 10, I was like, who do I like? It's like fantasy. You know, you got to draft a couple of guys that you like, even if they're just dog water. You know, so
he plays for the Browns, so I'm taking him. Yeah.
He plays for the Browns, that's why I'm taking him. David Njoku and Nick Chubb have been hurt for months, and I mean, they're still just sitting on IR in my bench.
I took him in the second round with an ACL tear. Yeah.
And now everybody's got a bye week, and I'm just totally screwed. Anyway, the point is Joe Scally's been he's been decent. He's been decent for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Really, why I'm putting him up here is because he's shown a complete renaissance to this game for the U.S. men's national team, and that's not an easy thing to do, especially in that position of right back, which has garnered so much controversy for us. I just can't help but think that maybe there's a team that could use him. Definitely, I don't think he's Prem caliber. I don't want to see him in the Prem. I don't even know if I want to see him in England. I think he would do well in France. I don't want to see him there. I'm thinking Italy.
It's a good shout. It's a good shout.
Honorable mention.
Dude, you were talking as if you were about to have like the worst howler of all time at number 10. I think Joe Scally's a really good pick.
Listen, man, I got lost in the weeds with this bad boy. You know, my entire perception of footballing, it just completely changed when I was here. You know, it's like you hop into the Mirkwood Forest. You know, Mirkwood Forest in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. You go in there and you lose the path. If you lose sight of the path, you get lost immediately. That's what it was. I walked in here and I was like, okay, we'll have some talent here. And I'm like, Jesus, am I putting a guy with 1 goal and 1 assist in my top 5? I think I am. In 8 games?
47 games?
In 47 games? That's what we've got here. So for all of you CONCACAF haters, this one's for you.
No, dude, that's actually a really good pick. He was right outside my top 10. I mean, this is my man's 4th year at Mönchengladbach. And he was pretty much offensively dead until last season when he actually had 5 goal involvements. So I don't think it's a bad pick. I think he's 22 years old. It's like Joe Scally's crazy young still. Like that fact is overlooked. You know, kind of breaking into the U.S. more and more. Shout out to Serginho Dest for the red card. I think it's a great number 10. I didn't think about that, but I think he could definitely cook in Italy. And, you know, we're talking, my man has 100 Bundesliga appearances for Mönchengladbach. This is year number 4. He had 15 appearances for their second team before that.
He's been getting better. He's been putting in the work. So frankly, I don't know if he would want to move, but I think he needs to they need to start looking at him.
That's a great number 10. My number 10 is Jacob Shaffelburg from Canada. So here's my argument here. And this one is almost entirely off national team performance. First off, my man is 24 years old and he's still in the MLS. So we're talking like urgency. Like, brother, you better get out like in the winter transfer window. It's gotta happen now. Obviously, he had such a strong performance at the Copa America, was strong against the United States in the friendly afterwards. But here's the thing with Shaff, and here's why I have him 10, and I do not think you can go maybe even higher than 8 with him, is because his performance with Canada seems to be so much stronger than what he does with Nashville. Like, we don't watch the MLS, you and I, but I'm looking at the stats here, bro. 17 games for Canada, 4 goals, 1 assist, largely as a sub. That's pretty goddamn good. Nashville, 20 games, just this season, 1 goal, 2 assists, and he starts about 85% of their games. So he's not always the starter. Sometimes he does come off the bench, but he's pretty much the starting left winger for Nashville. Overall, he has 20 goal involvements in 100 MLS games, which is not that good. But I'm still putting him here number 10 because of how he looked at the Copa America. And if you can ball out of the Copa America, there's something there. Maybe Nashville's not using him correctly. Maybe he's too much of a pace merchant. I don't care. I think he deserved being on this list, so I have him number 10. Any quick response to that, or you just want to go to your number 9?
No. I'm right there with you. I actually had him at. If you have a player on the list, on my list, do I just tell you where I had him right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I had him at 8. Up there.
I think that's a
wanted to put
perfect
him
spot.
high. Genuinely, I had him higher. Some last minute adjustments right before the video got on after I had my cup of coffee.
Some financial restrictions.
Some
were
financial
activated
restrictions. Yeah. Some legal counsel then.
Your lawyer called, said, you had
we
him
did
at
an audit
3.
of the list. He
I
said,
would
I
bring
don't
him
think this
down
is
a
good
little
for your image publicly. And I said, okay, deal.
He said,
also,
as your
face.
brand specialist, I would advise strongly against Shaffelburg top 3.
That's a hot take, and your brand's in the mud as it is. So
yeah, exactly. You are one more bad video away from cease and desist from
speaking
from
of
US soccer.
Speaking of which, that cease and desist is coming up right now because you're probably going to get mad at me for this number 9. I'm going to say Chris Richards.
Okay. For me, it's a little too soon. But why you have Chris Richards?
Too soon for the transfer, or you had him higher?
Too soon for the transfer. Yeah, good clarification. He's not on my list.
Okay, hear me out. This was a guy that I could not drop. Initially, when I was going over the list, I was thinking about who needs a transfer, and I think he'd be up in the top probably 5 of those. But I'm looking at Chris Richards, and last year, Crystal Palace was, I believe, 5th in the league for goals conceded per match. They were 1.5 goals conceded per match, which is solid. They also had 10 clean sheets last year. This season, I think he's had 2 to 3 starts, and it's not been good for Crystal Palace. I don't know if he is the main factor there. I don't believe he is. He's part of it, definitely. I don't think he's singularly responsible, and I don't think that this performance is reflective of what he can deliver. I think he can be a part of something good is really what I'm going at here, and that's why I've got him so low, because I think he's a good player, and we've seen really good moments from him. The stats are also not awful. He's a very good progressive passer. I think he's won the vast majority of his dribbles. I'm honestly conflating some of his stats. I didn't have room to write them down, but he's a solid passer going up, and he wins the vast majority of his tackles. He's injured right now, so ain't nobody gonna want to buy him right now. So y'all just keep on pushing. I told you this was kind of a suspect one, but that's why I got him in 9.
I don't think it's suspect. I just think for Chris Richards, for me, it's a little early. I mean, he's got like 40 appearances for Palace. It's just a little soon for me to say that he deserves a move. Like, I've never been quite as high on him as some US simps. I think he was probably the 3rd best CB when Anderson and Gahey were there. And now that the LaCroix guys come in, I think he looks better than Chris Richards, albeit in very limited minutes for both players. So I think Chris Richards, I feel like if he filmed this in a year, he'd probably be in my top 10. But right now I'm like,
how old is he?
21 maybe?
21. Okay. So he's still very young. Youngest player that we've talked about so far.
No, he's not, dude. He's 24. Oh, he old as hell.
Yeah, this is an emergency. You better fix that hamstring. He's coming back late October. We need a new manager. All right. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. His age, I don't know why I thought he was so young. Maybe it's because do US fans talk about Chris Richards like Man U fans used to talk about Jesse Lingard?
Yes, that's another reason that I'm so hesitant about this, because I don't want to lump myself in with them, but I couldn't drop him. I had him up there when I was thinking need, and I couldn't get rid of the name.
No, that's fair. My number 9, this is a player, I'm keeping it to the US. I think there's a somewhat argument for him to move, but it's not great. That's Malik Tillman. I have him at 9. 22 years old. Hard for me to have him any higher than this because my man just signed a permanent transfer fee from Bayern Munich to PSV, right? So how am I going to say that he can be any higher than 9 when he just, being fair, downgraded from Bayern Munich to PSV? Like, I'm not about to be like, well, he should bounce right back up. Like, no, he's going to need to.
You got to earn your stripes.
You got to earn it. Yeah. So I'm not sure if he's deserved a move away from PSV yet. But again, there's also not a ton of great nominees in Concacaf. So Just bear with me, people. He does have 30 goals and assists in 50 games for PSV, which is pretty beast mode, including 3 assists in the Champions League last season. And he was 5th in the Eredivisie in assists last season with 10. So just still 22 years old, only second full season with PSV, very like attacking team. It's going to look very flattering for his statistics. This is actually the exact same argument I feel like I'm making for Tillman as Richards. Is like, I kind of feel like it's a year too soon for Tillman as well. He's just more available than Richards, who seems to get hurt a little bit more often and kind of bounces around. Like,
and his numbers are extraordinary.
They're very, very good. Yeah, like borderline team of the season in the Eredivisie. So that's why I got Tillman 9. Did he make your list?
No, I didn't have him up there.
Okay. No,
that's foolish.
That's about the third L we've taken in this video so far, and we're just on number 8. You want to take yours?
There will be more. So 8, I had Shaffelburg. 8, I had Shaffelburg.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, one goal, 2 assists in 21. Not great, but I mean, the man has just been magnetic ever since you watch, or ever since he's sort of exploded onto the Canadian scene. And yeah, not much more needs to be said about that guy.
Okay. My number 8. I'll just take this one then. I have Haji Wright.
I didn't put Haji Wright on my list because I knew you were putting him. You had told me that, so I wanted to make the video more interesting.
Okay, I appreciate that. I do think that we're begging for views. Please drop the video a like. I do think we will have this same person at either number 1 or number 2, but we'll get to that in a second here. Haji Wright, if you look at pretty much every single shooting statistic, he's like 90th percentile or better. Goals, expected goals, shots on target, non-penalty goals. He's 90th percentile or better in every single one. Led Coventry in both goals and assists last season. That's pretty beast mode. We're talking about, like a top 10 league in the world. He's 26 years old, and my brother has probably had the healthiest career progression I've ever seen in my life. Like, he went from I don't even know if it was USL, to the Dutch league, to the Danish league, to the Turkish league, to the championship, to, dare I say, the Bundesliga next season, where I feel like he would cook. Like, he's... you want to talk deserved? This man deserves a move. He's really been taking his time. He went from like irrelevant, even in the U.S. men's national team pool and debate. Nobody even considered him a viable attacking option. Remember when Jordan Pefok was like clear of Haji Wright, and now it's like, damn, he's really pushing Balogun for that starting spot. So the ascension's been crazy. I think he's got to be top 10. I might even be selling him short. I'm sure some people will think he deserves to be top 5 based on what he's done. And any reaction to that?
I don't know. Pretty comfortable with that.
Okay.
And I agree.
Number 7.
Number 7, man. I'm almost through the howlers. All right. So just bear with me.
Okay.
Folks.
Okay.
I'm going Mr. Cortizo.
First Mexican makes an appearance outside of myself.
The first Mexican makes an appearance. And now I may be conflating a lot of things.
Shout.
Okay. It is a fascinating shout.
Okay.
And I want to tell you something. All right. He's got 1 goal, 1 assist, and 9. Not great. But this man is a light on a Mexican side that is not phenomenal. They are subpar. They are not good. But every time he comes on the pitch, I'm like, he's one of those guys you look at him and you're like, why hasn't he been playing? Why wasn't he here from the jump, right? I feel like he brings the same, or rather his trajectory, to a much, much, much smaller degree, a fraction of this man's power. But I feel like he could have a similar impact as Cole Palmer. I think he brings a different attitude and a different style and a different drive to the Mexican national team that we don't see, and I'm looking to see more of that. And I think given other opportunities, if you take him to a team like PSV, I'm unaware of their midfield and how progressive they are, but I think he could find opportunities in a lower league European side.
It's a phenomenal shout, and I have nothing negative to say about it whatsoever. Jordi Cortizo is one of those players who absolutely just should be, in my opinion, just making the starting cam for the next 10 games for the Mexican national team. If he flops, and then we move on. But you look at the stats. First off, he's 28 years old, so, the clock is also ticking. But his stats, I don't watch a lot of Rayados, so I don't know exactly why he doesn't start some of their games. But if you look at his individual statistics, he's the best dribbler in Liga MX. He's in fouls won, he's 87th percentile, touches in opposition box 96th, 97th in successful dribbles. Dribble success rate is 60%, wins a ton of his duels.
And he's got 1.5 expected assists.
Yeah. So it sounds like somebody ain't finishing the chances.
Somebody ain't finishing the
Probably.
chances. Everything that this man's stats point to is that he is not the problem, right? And I think that that is a hallmark for a lot of excellent Mexican players, right? I'm going to give you guys a get out of jail free card, even though we are rivals, right? I want to express once again and hit on the fascination that is the incestuous nature of the Mexican Footballing Federation. Don't let your guys leave and just, like stun lock yourself into this weird non-progression of your young talent. Get this man out. Get this man out. Send him to Borussia Mönchengladbach, for God's sake.
That'd be a fascinating move. He's probably one of the most unique player profiles in the Mexican pool. Like you said, Cole Palmer. I think of him more as like a Concacaf version of like Jamal Musiala. Is more of what I think his archetype is.
Yes,
like
no, and
very
I'm not
dribble
saying
heavy.
I'm not saying he's the Cole Palmer archetype. I do not.
I know.
Again,
Oh, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking
just saying,
you.
right.
Mofo
Yes.
watching this right now. Who's gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh my god, Deadbolt TV thinks Jordi Cortizo's better than Cole Palmer. Kill yourself.
Whoa.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that he's a very unique player. And I couldn't put him in my top 10 because he hasn't gotten the opportunities with the Selección. And even with Rayados, the stats aren't there to justify it. So at least with like Shaffelburg, he's got the Canada stats where I'm like, hey, something's here. With Cortizo, I'm just looking at his per 90 stats and a couple like, eye tests where I'm like, the dude's got sauce. But it was a little I couldn't put him in. Another Mexican.
You know me, heavy bias for the eye test. So
yeah, which is fine. He's got a great stash, which probably warranted top 10 on that alone, even if he was a bench player. I also didn't put Chiquete in here, the Chivas center back, which I'm sure some people will be disappointed about, but I don't think he's looked particularly great with Mexico. And I don't think he's been quite as locked down enough with Chivas to make the top 10. I still think he deserves a move, but not as much as some of the players. And for the sake of time, my number 7 is Josh Sargent from Norwich. Now, one stat is exactly why I think Josh Sargent deserves a move slightly more than Haji Wright. It's slightly. They both deserve it, but just slightly. Haji Wright and Josh Sargent both had 16 goals in the championship last season. The big difference, Connor, is that Josh Sargent played 26 games. Haji Wright played 44. So 18 more games than Josh Sargent for the same goal return. And Haji Wright took penalties for Coventry. Josh Sargent did not take penalties for Norwich. Haji Wright had 3 penalties last season. So if you remove the penalties, Haji Wright had 13 goals and 44. Sargent had 16 and 26. One more fact. This is from Opta. Josh Sargent has the most league goals of any player in 2024 in the championship with 16 league goals.
Do I save my rationale for him later? Because I've got him.
No, let it rip. Where you got him?
All right, I got him at 5.
Totally fair.
Now, let me tell you why I got him at 5. I got this man at 5.
Tell me why, and then I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong afterwards. But go ahead.
All right, word. He is the most unexplored option that the U.S. men's national team has had, and he has looked good, at least, at the very minimum, decent, every single time I've seen him. Every single time I've seen him, I'm like, can I see him for 20 more minutes? Can we let this man get his feet set? Now, part of that is poor squad selection, right? So I can be upset about that. But the other part of it is he's hampered by injuries. But the man deserves a fair shake. He deserves somebody to look at him. I feel like he's flown under the radar for far too long in regards to, well, you know what? Not under the radar. He's been on the radar, but he hasn't been given a fair shout. He hasn't been given an opportunity. And I guarantee you he gets more goals if you put him with better players. So let's try. Let's explore. Somebody give this man a shout. No way that everybody's picking him as, a promising talent on FIFA, but he can't get, a decent 2-year run at least at a smaller league in Europe somewhere. First division. Again, send him to PSV. Send him to Borussia Mönchengladbach, for the love of God.
Send him to Crystal Palace, dude. Send him to Palace. Let him cook with Eze. I promise you, Eze is going to be like, thank God, somebody with some actual attacking acumen can help me out here. Can you imagine Eze Sargent dynamic duo at Selhurst Park?
I don't buy that. They have Mateta and Nketiah. Their issue is, somebody's got to get the ball to Eze. Put Jordi Cortizo in Crystal Palace, for the love of God.
God, what a signing that would be.
That would be so bizarre. That could make or kill his career.
100%. 100%. I mean, it's doing that to Kamada right now. Sargent, there's no way he stays around at Norwich again. I was looking it up. He's the top-rated player on the team this season. He was the second highest-rated player on the team last season, again, in 26 games. Like, I feel the injury is the only reason this guy hasn't been scooped up yet, and maybe he's got some release clause that we're just unaware of. But if Josh Sargent is not in your top 10 Concacaf players who deserve to move, like, you tripping, man. That's you had him 5? Okay, I had him 7, and only at 7 because of the injuries. That's literally it. So I think we split the difference if we had him at 6. I think that's fair. Why don't you give us your 6 though?
All right, the 6. Now, I probably should have flipped these. Well, no. I had Josh Sargent 5. Okay, that makes sense. I was looking at it. I was like, why the hell do I have this guy higher than Sargent? But obviously, I jumped the gun on Sargent. I got Oluwaseyi. Now, hear me out. 8 goals and 4 assists in 23. He had a rough start with Canada, right? So that's still some production for Minnesota. But last year, he had 18 goals and 7 assists while on loan in 27.
Say those numbers again?
18 goals and 7 assists in 27 games last year.
Oh, that's cooking.
He was on loan, and that's why he got the transfer to Minnesota. It's been a significantly slower start for him here, but he might just have worse pieces around him. We don't know how the MLS goes. They be trading players over there. It doesn't make any sense. I think you got to give him a fair shake, just like Sargent. All right. This man has the numbers. He's got a little bit of pedigree. And I can't help but think that had he gotten better numbers with Canada or better performances with Canada, if he puts away 2 of those chances, we might be having a completely different conversation here. All right. I want to see him with a good team around him that isn't Canada, struggling through the Copa America. By and large, they got very lucky. And I'm thinking either your number 1 or number 2 in this list was a main contributor of dragging them through there. Right.
He maybe Richie Larea will pop up later.
Yeah, there it is. I just think I can't help but think that Oluwaseyi is in a similar situation as Nketiah. Give the man some opportunities with a better team around him. We saw that Nketiah delivered at Arsenal, and I imagine that scouts are saying, okay, why do you only have 8G 4A this season? It's because I'm a Minnesota dog. It's cold. And I know he's Canadian, but give him a break.
God, that's a great shout. I did not even consider Oluwaseyi. It's a great shout. Okay, you got him 6th. Huh. Yeah, that's a great shout. For my number 6, I went a little left field on this one. I said Luis Palma from Honduras and Celtic. He put up prime Jason Kidd numbers last season, 10 and 10 for Celtic, including 2 goals in 5 Champions League games. Which, again, playing for Celtic, objectively, like one of the worst teams in the competition every single time, that's pretty big. Also, for the national team, like, Honduras are completely... You take him out, and they're not Guatemala level, but they're pretty damn close to Guatemala level if you take him out of this. They're completely neutered. Yeah, I mean, his national team stats go crazy. I told you that in the last 10 games, he's got 1 goal, 7 assists. For Honduras, like that's Christian Pulisic numbers, but for Honduras again. So I think he's a beast. I couldn't put him any higher because he's only been a Celtic. This will be his 2nd season. He was in the Greek league before that, did his thing. I think he also had prime Jason Kidd numbers before that. He had 13 and 4. Jason Kidd would have gotten more assists, but you get the point. He's been doing well in Europe for 4 years now, but I can't put him higher because he's still new to Celtic. I don't think he's been the starter this season, which has been kind of strange. I know he had an injury problem that maybe has something to do with it. Celtic's also one of those clubs where they have buying power in Scotland, so it's kind of easy to lose your place to somebody else. Maybe that's what's happened. I kind of need to look into that situation more. But again, you're talking eye test. You watch him both with Honduras and in the Champions League, and you're like, okay, like this guy could 100% play in La Liga. Like, no doubt. Put him on Las Palmas right now. You have Januzaj out right, Luis Palma on the left. I think Fabio Silva is their striker right now. I mean, you might have something that might save them from relegation. So that's who I have at 6. And we got to throw some Central Americans in here, and there will be more. But you want to take us number 5?
I had Josh Sargent 5.
Okay, you ready
Tell
for
me
my
your
5?
Let's hear it.
It's time, baby. Chino Huerta.
Ah! Break my heart into a million pieces. I think I have an idea of how this list is going to go. I had him significantly higher. Well, not significantly, but go ahead. Tell me.
Where did you have him? And then I'll just give you my
3.
rationale.
I had him at 3.
Okay.
One of those spots is for the hair. One of the spots.
That's fair. So if I added 1 spot for the hair, I'd have him 4. I think that's fair. Second in assists in Liga MX last season. He's currently 7th in chances created this season. Man of the match against New Zealand for Mexico most recently. Probably our most dangerous attacking player against Canada in the match after that. Didn't really get a ton of opportunity at the Copa America for reasons unknown. We'll just blame corruption. Chino Huerta, I think he's 24. So he's kind of in that Shaffelburg zone where it's like you need to get out of North America pretty soon. The difference between him and Shaffelburg is he's definitely earned it more in the club level. Like, I think Chino is easily the most hated player outside of maybe Charlie Rodriguez and Henry Martin. Like he's like third on the most hated Mexican list. The difference is Henry Martin and Charlie Rodriguez have gotten like 50 opportunities with the Selección to do anything, and they haven't. Chino's gotten like 12, largely as a substitute, and he's got a man of the match award. Maybe in 2 games. He might have been man of the match against Australia too. I can't remember. But he's a good player. And he doesn't even play for a very strong team in Liga MX. Like Pumas, they're solid. But 2 years ago, they finished 14th in the table. And I think 13th in the Clausura. Like, they're not a very good team. This guy leads them in assists and goals consistently. He's by far their most attacking threat. And I think he's proved it both the club and for the national team that it's probably time for a move. Probably time for a move.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Where that move would be, I have no idea, but I had him at 3 for a reason. He passes the eye test. And, you know, if Cortizo is a point of hope and increases the level that the squad plays at, I think that Chino Huerta is by and large a breath of fresh air. Every time he goes in, there's an impact. I mean, he's trying to bring Arjen Robben back from the dead. Get the ball, cut in. If you don't have a shot, you got to pass somewhere. The man keeps the ball moving, and I think the only reason that he's as hated as he is that he's missing opportunities. But, I mean, you can't hate the guy that's creating just because he's not finishing. Maybe he's not built to be a finisher. Why didn't somebody else finish the goals, and then all of a sudden he's the best player in Mexico?
I mean, he would have had an assist against Canada if Santi Gimenez could finish a one-on-one chance. Is that Chino's fault?
No.
But he'll take the blame for it.
Yeah.
He'll take the blame for it.
100%.
Like, the stats across the board are pretty solid. He's 15th in Liga MX in successful dribbles right now. He's pretty much 80th percentile or better in every shooting stat. And this is what I love. Dude's going to run for you. 90th percentile in tackles for his position.
Dog.
That's the dog factor right there.
And I know that there are effort-loving coaches out there that want that. This is a Sean Dyche kind of player right here.
Oh, 100%.
I want you lads to get out there. I don't have the hair, but he's running. I want you all to run. Look at Chino running out on the wing. It's Chino and Dwight McNeil and none of you other lads.
We're only staying up because of those lot. The rest of you are garbage.
Mikalenko, take him and leave him.
I'd sell you for a bag of chips if I could, but we're bankrupt. We need the money.
We need the money.
We need the money.
God, now he sounds like Jack Grealish.
I know, we've gotten a little away from Sean Dyche there. Oh, what? Anyways. So Chino Huerta, top 5 for both of us. I stole your number 3, so why don't you give us your number 4 then?
And I'm going to go with Bombito. Now, bear with me here. This is a big lad, big body, and whenever he's part of the dynamic duo for Canada, this man's pretty locked down.
I have to say something right now, though, dude.
Tell me.
He just signed a move. He just signed to Nice.
Well, then congratulations to Nice, because they did exactly what I would have advised. But okay, let me just rip you out some stats.
Okay,
I did not know.
Rip it. I mean,
I thought I was through
honestly,
the house. All right, well.
No, I mean, no, but honestly, he would have been top 3 had he not just left. But this is hilarious. So, I mean, I'm gonna break it down. We'll just give 30 seconds to the Bombito praise show. That's fine.
I think the main descriptor that I had for him during Copa America, just whenever I see him playing for Canada, is that he's a bastion. He's a bastion. He's a massive tower out there. He looks like an obelisk. He stands strong. He's willing to make heavy tackles as well as smart plays. I think the worst things that I haven't seen a bad overall performance, but I have seen him make 2 glaring errors that have led to goal concessions. That being said, Nice has conceded 4 goals in the last 5 games. One of those was it Real Sociedad?
Did they play Sociedad in Europa? I'm looking
maybe potentially. One of them was against a pretty tenured Sociedad. 4 goals conceded in the last 5. The man's got 92% passing accuracy, which feels like a pretty insane stat for a center back. He's got solid progression going up the field. He's got Joe Scally numbers almost, and he's solid for Canada. I love him, and
he's more than solid, dude. He's like
he's great. He's great.
I said it, he's entering the chat for the best CB in Concacaf. Like I genuinely think he's right there. He has another strong year. He's the best. Like his recovery speed, he's the Canadian Militao. Like he's so freakishly athletic. Like the way that he clamped Balogun in the last friendly, I was like, uh-oh. They really have a cheat code back there. They have like the great equalizer, which is Bombito's speed. Really, really good. I mean, to back you up here, you could even make an argument that Nice, maybe Bombito could have gone to a bigger team. Like, no disrespect to Nice. I think the French league is incredible for him. But there is an argument that, like, based on the eye test and what he's done, his actual accolades and stats, should it have been a top 4 team in Liga? Should it have been Real Sociedad? I mean, I don't know. Like, top 5, top 6 in La Liga. I promise you he's good enough. I promise you he's good enough.
Well, why don't you give me your number 4 after my glaring oversight here with Nice?
Well, 4, I can guarantee you this guy is not moved yet, and that is Santi Gimenez. He's in your top 10, I'm guessing?
No,
He's not in your top 10.
No, I tried to stay away from big names.
I like it because some people watching will have Santi number 1, and that's just ludicrous.
A lot of them will have Santi number 1. Can I give you another spoiler?
Sure.
Christian Pulisic is not in my top 10 either.
He's not in my top 10.
A lot of people in the comments are going to say that this man has numbers, so he deserves a transfer. My argument for that is that he's found the perfect place in AC Milan. Stay there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
This is the exact moment where everybody clicks off the video because they now know
100%.
Christian Pulisic is not number 1. Yeah.
So I shouldn't have said. I should have waited until the end. Christian Pulisic is going to be our banner frame, just for all of you out there.
Yeah. Oh, he's 100% making the thumbnail, bro. I promise you. Here's my thing with Santi Gimenez. I think he's definitely warranted a move from Feyenoord. Like, the stats are crazy. 40 goals, 10 assists in 67 games in the Eredivisie. I think that's only Eredivisie, which is ridiculous. But I can't put him any higher than 4 because he did join Feyenoord 2 years ago. So he doesn't quite have the tenure of some of these other players on here. And if we're being honest, he's been trash for the Mexican national team. So I'm not about to put a guy top 3 who doesn't ball out at both levels. It's not even like he's average for Mexico. Like, he's awful. 4 goals in 23 games. Like, no shit. Shaffelburg has better stats with Canada than Santi Gimenez with Mexico, which is insane, but it's also a fact. Now, Santi was 3rd in the Eredivisie with 23 goals last season, and he definitely deserves and has earned a move. I just don't also think it's the move that most Mexican fans want me to say. He's not Real Madrid quality. Absolutely not. Are you having a laugh? That would be a disaster. This is not Hugo Sanchez regen, okay? These are not the same players. It would not play out the same way. He could probably go to a top club, but he needs to be in a system that is high chance creation, and he can literally just be like a tap-in merchant almost. Not that that's all he can do, but that's where you're going to see the best version of Santi Gimenez, where he can run and he gets a lot of opportunities.
Agreed. I'm also going to say that the man needs his mojo back. This is a streaky guy. Whenever he's feeling really good, I'm going to say that's the Argentine part of him. When he's feeling really good, his ego is high. The man's banging him in. That being said, you go and you play for Mexico, you see a dip in performance because it's cutthroat over there. It's cutthroat. If you don't score, one chance, you're going to be crucified. So I would say that the man needs to be in the right system. And you know what? I'll go further. I'll defend him with Mexico. I don't think he's been abjectly terrible. I think that Mexico has been abjectly terrible. And I mean, what are you going to blame the point of the sword because it's too short? No, you got to blame the rest of the blade. Like, you got to give this man some more. Like, if he scores high chance systems, give him a high chance system. You get a different coach and Jordi Cortizo and Chino Huerta starting. I don't know. Maybe we're having a different conversation.
I agree, but he did miss. He should have scored against Canada. He should have scored against New Zealand. He didn't. And if you're that fucking good, ball out. If you're that good, do something by yourself. That's what he's kind of proving with Mexico what his ceiling is as a difference maker. Not if he's a good or bad player, because I agree, a striker needs service, but you're not a Luis Suarez, bro. Like, you're not just gonna pull the rabbit out of the hat. Cavani, like, give me 2 chances, I'm gonna score 1. You're not that level, is what it's looking like. It could still change, but that's why I have him 4, because he definitely has earned the move. And after one more good season of Eredivisie, I mean, if he's pushing like 70, 80 goals with Feyenoord in 2.5 years, how are you going to say he doesn't deserve a move, right? But I just don't think it's been enough especially compared to how some other players are playing in the Eredivisie, to be top 3. That's just how I feel about it. But your number 3, we already said him, right?
Chino Huerta.
Do you want just say your number 2? I'll get
My
my
number
3
2. My number 2, I'm going to go for big man. Big man, we've been talking about this guy for probably 2 years at this point. If Josh Sargent flies under the radar, this guy flies underneath the ground. This is Coco Carrasquilla.
He's my 2 as well.
When you want to talk about stats, meeting with eye test as well, this is your guy. This is your guy. And the shocking part of it is that he plays for the Houston Dynamo.
He plays for our team, bro. And we tell him to get out.
Our team. Yes. I want him to leave. I want him to do better because he deserves better, even though that means that it'll send Houston Dynamo from abject, irrelevance even further below.
Even though it will somehow get the Dynamo relegated despite relegation not existing. Galveston's team is going to leapfrog the Houston Dynamo and join Major League Soccer.
The travel team over here in Brooklyn, under 16s, could leapfrog the Houston Dynamo. I actually don't think we're that bad anymore. We're decent now.
The Corpus Christi Crabs will become the dominant MLS franchise in the south of the state.
That's our rugby team.
Is there... Dude, tell me Corpus Christi Crabs FC would not go hard. I think that would be pretty cool.
I hate that. I think it sounds awful. I think everybody, including the Corpus Christi Crabs, hates the fact that they're called the Corpus Christi Crabs. Corpus Christi Krakens.
What about the Langostinos?
The Langostinos. The lobsters.
Langostinos. I think that goes kind of hard. You telling me the Laporte Langostinos doesn't go hard?
Well, yeah, with the alliteration there, yeah. I could see
the Woodland Woodpeckers.
I actually really like that.
The Conroe Cave Trolls.
The Conroe Kookaburras.
The Conroe Coco Carrasquillas. Yeah.
The Conroe Carrasquillas. Yeah. No.
Anybody from Houston probably loved that segment. The rest of you, we apologize. But no, back to Coco being... I mean, he's literally the Panamanian Luka Modric.
He's the Panamanian Luka Modric, but he's faster and he's a better... he's more agile.
Well, Modric is 47.
He's great for Panama. That's what I wrote down.
He's unreal.
His Houston Dynamo stats are not insane, at least, for the eye test. 3 goals, 5 assists in 26 games. But we have to remember that he's doing this for the Houston Dynamo. We also have to remember that his best moments come playing for Panama, who are worse than the Houston Dynamo without him.
Oh, if you take him off, yeah.
You take him off.
I agree, it's more valuable, probably.
Yes, yeah. Maybe that would have been a better way to phrase.
No, but dude, if you think about it, 3 goals, 5 assists in 26 games as a midfielder, not even really like a cam, that's pretty goddamn good. I mean, Mason Mount is dreaming about those numbers for Man U.
Right, but we're not here to talk about Mason Mount.
That's true. We're not talking about players who might be finished. We're talking about players who've earned
the Panamanian powerhouse, the Panamanian playboy himself. Also with great hair.
Phenomenal hair. And if you're talking any passing stat, he's top 95th percentile. He's ridiculous. Also, Gold Cup MVP, by the way. That's something that nobody else on this list has, is the MVP of an international tournament. With Panama, I'll say that again, which makes it count for double.
That does make it count for double. And with this hair, triple it. Now, you would think all of these multipliers would lead him to be number 1. However, if you're ready, I'm ready to give flowers. I'm ready to rain these things down because...
Are you saying you want to say your number 1?
I want to say my number 1 really bad.
Can I say my number 3 before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I got my 3, and then we'll hit one.
Heard.
By the way, last thing on Coco Carrasquilla, he did sign a contract extension with a player option till 2027 with the Dynamo. My conspiratorial brain kind of thinks that they did that in the hopes of another transfer. Basically, to me, that sounds like, hey, we're going to sign you to 1 more year plus an option. If we can't sell you, then you just walk. And then he'll be a free agent. But it sounds like a gentleman agreement. Yeah. I mean, ask Harry Kane how gentleman agreements go down in football. It might come back to bite Carrasquilla in the ass, but
the Houston Dynamo are not. They do better business than Tottenham. Let's be completely honest.
I mean, you would hope so, but it's just insane this guy isn't in Europe. It actually baffles me that Carrasquilla is not in Europe, and it baffles me how many people think he couldn't do it. This man has haters, especially from the other Central American teams. They hate this man. Costa Ricans, nice people. Not towards Carrasquilla. No, they think he's a fraud, a false prophet. But he walks into the Costa Rican 100%. My number 3, and this is interesting, you didn't have him on the list. I went with Jedi Robinson. I can understand not having him top 10 because it could be a pulley situation where it's like, why go? But if we're talking about, again, deserving, like who's earned it through merit, Jedi has been a freak. I mean, just last season in the Premier League alone, led the entire division in interceptions, 7th in total tackles, all-time assist leader for an American in the Premier League as a left back, I might add. Over 100 appearances for Fulham. So again, he's kind of got that tenure check mark, like he's been there, he's been doing it. And I think if we're talking intangibles for why he deserves a move, Jedi has genuinely made it a conversation who is the best left back in Concacaf when a player named Alphonso Davies exists, is considered by some to be the only world-class player in Concacaf currently, and plays for Bayern Munich. Like, he should have that title of best left back so locked down that even by a mile, that even bringing it up, in a pub would get you, like, beer gets thrown on you. Like, is there anyone else besides Davies who's the best left, and then that people just dunk a pint on you? But Jedi's actually entered the chat, and that, to me, just shows his quality.
Can I tell you why I feel like he's answered that? Is because he now has offensive production. And I think he's doing that because he is being taught that at Fulham. Fulham looks good in a way that I don't think I've ever seen. And yeah, maybe I missed the argument here. He does deserve a move. A move is deserved. But I think he's found the perfect fit at Fulham. It is the perfect fit. I think he's getting better and better and better every single game you watch him. Fulham's not bad by any stretch of the means. So I'm putting him in the same bin as Christian Pulisic. I just don't think he needs a move. Does he deserve one? Okay, yeah. Alphonso Davies also deserves a move. If he went to Real Madrid this summer, nobody would have batted an eye.
Less so, though. I mean, Davies gets the clout because he's in the Champions League week in and week out and plays for Bayern. But like, that's the other thing about Jedi is like, we talked about Carrasquilla just being like underrated and kind of unrecognized. I mean, you could argue Jedi, let me put it again, an American who is a locked-in starter. He makes team of the week for fun at Fulham. I mean, this dude should be walking around like the God King, but he doesn't. Because I guess it's because he's a defender and it's Fulham. But we're talking about like probably the 10th best team in the Prem, the 10th best team in the hardest league in the world, bona fide starter, one of their best players. And it's like, yeah, Jedi's good. Like, nobody hates Jedi or talks down on him, but he doesn't get the love. And he's 100% earned a move. I mean, I know Liverpool are interested. Manchester United, literally this morning, are reportedly interested. And there's good reason for that. So I think Jedi, I had to put him in my top 3 just because he's just been killing it in the shadows.
Dude, just Luke Shaw. Poor guy.
He's clear of Luke Shaw. Sorry. Any English people, go cry. Like, he's better than Luke Shaw. You want to take number 1 now?
Yeah, this man deserves his flowers. And we're both on the same page here. Again, I'm going to go back to the multipliers for Coco Carrasquilla. He's got the hair. He's got the fact that he plays for Panama. But Jonathan David is just so ridiculously clear of anybody here. All right? Lille is getting away with highway robbery, maintaining this man in the way that they have, okay? I don't know who's not doing their job, or if Lille is just asking a ridiculous amount of money for this guy, which is totally warranted. But, I mean, somebody's got to be looking at this dude. Somebody has to be looking at this guy. And I have no idea what league it would be in, but, I mean, somebody's got to be. Somebody's got to be. You're telling me we're paying $40 million for Liam Delap, which is not looking bad. We're paying an excess for Nketiah, and we're just leaving Jonathan David.
Cameron Archer's going for 25 mil twice. I don't get it.
West Ham has Danny Ings and Mikel Antonio sitting there. Get him out. Mikel Antonio would love a move to France. Send him, trade him, anything. Trade him plus, I don't know, 100 mil, and it'd probably be a fair transfer. I'm not saying that he's worth 100 mil. Everybody relax. But Jonathan David, let's read this off. I'm curious to see what stats that you have. I really didn't take too many down here. What do I have? I was terrified I didn't write him down here. He's got 5 goals and 6 this season. He was 26 and 7 last year. And he's the only, I mean, whenever Canada's in a pinch, the man just shows up out of nowhere. You know what I'm convinced at this point? I'm convinced that the Canadians have him doing a different job, and that's why he doesn't produce more with them, especially lately. But whenever he sees them in their time of need, he's like, all right, boop, time to put on my superhero hat and get after him.
You're saying he arrives at dawn on the third day for Canada.
And somehow he is both Eomer and Gandalf and Shadowfax, because he's not exactly slow.
He is ridiculous. I just talked about Jedi and how it's like, do y'all not realize there's an American who's like borderline Premier League team of the season? Not Fulham's best, like borderline Premier League team of the season, and y'all don't give him flowers? Can you imagine if there was another Concacaf player playing in a top 5 league who had 100 league goals in 4 seasons? The amount that individual would be gassed up, it'd be the, I don't know, biggest hot air balloon of all time. It, like, you would never stop hearing about it if a Mexican or an American had those stats as Jonathan David. 91 goals, 20 assists in 194 games for Lille. He was also a stud at Genk before that, just in case anybody was wondering. In the Ligue 1 goal scoring charts, last season he finished 3rd. The season before that he was 7th. The season before that, when he was damn near like 20 years old, 19, he was 12th. Like, come on, man. It's not even funny anymore.
The man is the best goal scorer in CONCACAF. And he has been. It has not been a conversation for a long time, probably since Clint Dempsey was around. I really don't know what else there is to say. Like, it's just so clear and obvious to me that my brain can't formulate an argument, because he passes the eye test, he passes the stat test, he passes the versatility test. I mean, the guy's scoring goals. He can also create. I mean, you give him Tim Weah's barber, and I mean, he'd be making team of the season in Spain. You know, I don't even know what to say about this guy.
Sounds like we are in total agreement. Jonathan David, number 1. And I don't really think there's anything else that we need to say. I think we have pretty solid lists, actually. I'm very curious to see how the audience feels about this ranking. I'm sure there will be clamor for Pulisic. I'm sure people will be upset that maybe Coco Carrasquilla, we both had him at 2. Really, really curious to see what you guys think down below in the comments. Do not be shy. Let us know how you feel. We might do a part 2, like we said, players who need a move. So that would be different, kind of more like ranking the top 5 most toxic club situations for players involving CONCACAF. I think that'd be a really fun video to make. So if you guys want to see that, make sure that you hit subscribe. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure you drop the video a like. If you're listening on streaming platforms, please give the podcast a 5-star rating. Connor, any send off?
God bless Jonathan David.
God bless Jonathan David. We appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.